In this season of The Big Talk, you are going to have access to the most incredible speakers who recently performed at the virtual showcase, which is the culmination of the Big Talk Academy, my 12-week signature speaker training. Be sure to watch every single one of these speakers in this series because they are all equally as inspiring, entertaining, and powerful. And by sharing their important messages, they can change and even save a life. Enjoy. Tracy Rector is an award-winning film producer, author, speaker, and survivor who uses her voice to raise awareness of domestic violence. USA Today recognized her film, and she's appeared in events in the US, Asia Pacifica, and the United Kingdom. Tracy served as a board chair on the second largest domestic violence agency in Texas. Everyone, please welcome to the stage Tracy Rector with Imagine a Matriarchal World.
Imagine a matriarchal world. Let's push the reboot button. Go back to the beginning, to 4000 BC, when humans just began settling in communities. We give women the roles that men had and all the power, so we are positioned to create gender equality. Women in leadership in everything. I know, it takes a minute to wrap your head around this radical idea. A matriarchal-led world. Women not only in leadership positions, but all positions where decisions are made. Would men have a seat at the table, a voice, a vote for that matter? Think about it for a minute. Stay with me here. Beethoven, Picasso, Galileo, Edison, Einstein, all this greatness are women instead of men. And of course, all the popes were women. Wild, right? Was it odd that for thousands of years, they were all men, at least 99.9%? There are great women who show up in history, but they are the exception, not the norm. It is only in recent years that we've discovered some of the contributions that women have made, many of which were usurped by men, falsely claiming credit. In the US, our democracy was designed by an all-male leadership, preventing women from participating since the beginning when we elected our first president in 1789. But we must go further back in history to see how long women have been without a vote. In the 5th century BC, Athens is attributed to having the first democracy, but led solely by men. Just in the past 102 years, with the passage of the 19th Amendment, have women been allowed to vote. But that's just white women. For Black women and other women of color, that didn't become a reality until decades later with the 1965 Voting Rights Act. Seeing gender inequality through the eyes of a 10-year-old forced me to look at this ubiquitous issue more closely. My daughter was a U.S. president savant, flawlessly reciting their names in order when she was just 5 years old. During the controversial 2000 presidential election, she was wide-eyed watching hanging chads and ultimately a Supreme Court ruling. She asked lots of questions about elections. I told her my great-grandmother was 56 years old when she voted for the first time in 1920 during the election for the 29th president. Then I explained that women had only been allowed to vote for the previous 80 years. The shocked look on her face, I will never forget it. Until this moment, she felt unencumbered by her female gender. If we only see things in context of the way they've always been, we can't see with clarity how wrong they might be. That 10-year-old is all grown up and a lawyer now, and her idol, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, says this about gender equality. When I am sometimes asked, when will there be enough women on the Supreme Court? And I say, when there are 9, people are shocked that there have been 9 men and no one ever raised a question about that. Our world order set by men has gone mostly unchallenged for thousands of years. What if we take the late Justice Ginsburg's quote and apply it across the board to all areas of our lives, the world, and throughout history? With women holding all the power, would we have imposed the same restrictions on men that they imposed on us? Or would we have invited them to the table? From a matriarchal point of view, gender inequality comes into focus. When will there be enough women in power and leadership? Instead of when there are 9, we say when there are women in every position that a man now holds. Would the reaction be shock and outrage? Historically, men have been in almost all these roles. It is only in the last few decades that a small percentage of women have been able to elbow their way into positions of leadership. Just for fun, let's apply the Ruth Bader Ginsburg factor to modern history. What if the first person on the moon is a woman, and we hear her say, "That's one small step for woman, one giant leap for womankind"? Does that sound odd? Men have been making these accomplishments and strides forever because women have been shut out of the game. For example, when NASA was faced with having women astronauts walk in space, their initial reaction was no, the spacesuits are too big for women. This coming from the same minds who problem solved the near tragic Apollo 13 mission safely home. When Sally Ride became the first American woman to go in space, NASA asked her if 100 tampons would be enough for a 1-week mission. 100 tampons for 6 days. That is a serious lack of awareness, but also willful ignorance. Thankfully, NASA is more aware and informed today. In 1972, just 50 years ago, women were allowed for the first time to officially run in the Boston Marathon. Before, they were limited to no more than 200 meters, approximately 2 football fields, because male experts said that it might interfere with their reproductive health. This year, over 42% of participants were women, all finishing with their reproductive health intact. We have made great strides since my great-grandmother was born in 1864, but we've had to fight for every single one of them, and we are still fighting today. If women were leaders at the beginning, we would have gender equality. We'd allow men to embrace all their feelings and emotions, no male shaming from society. Women know what it's like to fight for a seat at the table. As leaders of the table, we have the opportunity to pull up a chair for any group or gender. But gender equality is about having the wisdom of both women and men being fully present. Let's not just imagine it. Let's create it. Let's establish a new world order where young girls and boys can sit equally at tables where decisions are made. Gender equality everywhere.
Tracy, amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for this really important talk. I love this talk. I am so glad that you're giving it. I love that you connect the story of your daughter so powerfully to that moment in time. I think so many women had the exact same experience as your daughter, and I think it's important for you to give voice to that. Want to bring to your attention that when you talked about the examples of the first democracy being all men and that all voting rights and the Voting Rights Act for women to allow and include all women to vote wasn't until 1965, it's still a gut punch. And I want you to keep punching us in our guts. I love the story of your daughter. Like I said, your delivery is extremely strong. You are a very, very effortless speaker. It comes naturally to you. You're in command. You're captivating. Also, this is a note for your tech crew. The push in when you were talking about RBG was not needed because it wasn't a clear push in. The camera was wobbling. Same thing happened when she panned. She was moving side to side to try to center you. And that's what I was looking at, you being you being wobbly. So that's not something that needs to happen in the future. Also, this is another beautiful example of how you highlight and illustrate the inequality that's going on, which is the spacesuits, and that their problem was that they're too big, just powerful. And the 100 tampons, amazing. And the Boston Marathon, it's still shocking and a gut punch to have that information. And so, yes, please keep talking about this and share this powerful story. You deliver these statistics, by the way, with grace, love, full acceptance, and your invitation to have men and women's voices fully represented is so inclusive. This talk is meant to be told by you. You did a beautiful job. I am so proud of you, and I'm so glad that you're telling this story. Thank you so much, Tracy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. If you desire to be on the virtual showcase stage, hop on over to thebigtalkacademy.com and register now for my 12-week signature speaker training, where you can become certified by the Big Talk Academy and perform on my virtual showcase stage. And if you haven't yet subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscription button and notification bell, and definitely share your thoughts in the comments. I will respond to each and every one of you. Big love, everybody.